Have you ever been deep in the woods, so far from everything you know that the silence itself seems to have a sound? That's where our story begins, with a man named Alex, an experienced hiker who thought he'd seen everything the mountains had to offer. He was wrong. This wasn't just any hike. Alex was trekking through a remote, uncharted valley, a place whispered about in local legends but seldom visited. The air was crisp. The ancient pines stood like silent giants, and the only sound was the crunch of his boots on the forest floor. He was seeking solitude, a break from the noise of the modern world. But what he found would change his life and our understanding of the world forever. One afternoon, as the sun began to cast long shadows through the trees, a sound cut through the stillness. It wasn't the call of a bird or the cry of a known animal. It was a sound of pure distress, a high-pitched, mournful wail that seemed to echo with a strange, almost human-like quality. It was a sound of profound loneliness. Alex's first instinct was caution. This was wild country, and an injured or cornered animal could be dangerous. But the sound was persistent, and it tugged at something deep within him. It didn't sound threatening. It sounded helpless. His curiosity and compassion won out. Leaving the faint trail behind, he pushed his way through dense undergrowth, guided only by the heartbreaking cry that grew louder with every step. He navigated a steep, rocky incline, his heart pounding with a mix of exertion and anticipation. What could possibly be making that noise? A lost fawn, a trapped coyote. The sound led him to a small, hidden clearing, a cathedral of ancient moss-covered pines whose branches were so thick they blotted out the sky. And there, at the base of the largest tree, nestled in a hollow of its massive roots, was the source of the cry. It was a creature unlike anything he had ever seen or could have imagined. Small, no larger than a human toddler, it was covered in a coat of thick reddish-brown fur. Its eyes, large and impossibly dark, were wide with fear and glistened with tears. It looked up at Alex, its small mouth open in that same sorrowful cry. He was looking at an infant Bigfoot. Alex froze. Every rational thought in his mind screamed that this was impossible. Bigfoot was a myth, a campfire story, a blurry photo. Yet here it was, real, helpless, and completely alone. There were no signs of parents, no tracks other than the tiny ones surrounding the creature itself. It seemed to have been abandoned. Slowly, carefully, Alex knelt down, making himself as small and non-threatening as possible. He spoke in a low, gentle voice, the way you would to a frightened child. "Hey there, little one," he whispered. "It's okay. I'm not going to hurt you." The infant's cries softened to a whimper. It watched him with an intelligence that was startling. It was clear this was no ordinary animal. This was a being of profound awareness and emotion. Alex could see the infant was weak, shivering despite its fur. It needed help, and soon he knew he couldn't just leave it there. It wouldn't survive the night. Making a decision that would defy all logic and conventional wisdom, Alex carefully scooped the small creature into his arms. It was surprisingly light. It flinched at first, but then, feeling the warmth of his jacket, it quieted down and nestled against his chest, its tiny, hand-like fingers weakly clutching his shirt. The trek back to his campsite was surreal. With each step, the weight of his discovery grew heavier. He wasn't just carrying a strange creature, he was holding a secret that could shake the foundations of science. He was responsible for this life. He named him Kai, a name that means sea in some cultures, but to Alex it meant unexplained. Back at his camp, Alex shared his rations. Kai was hesitant at first, sniffing the offered berries and nuts, but hunger won out. He ate slowly, his large, dark eyes never leaving Alex's face. An unspoken bond was forming between the lost man and the found creature, a connection forged in the heart of the wild. The next few days were a blur of miraculous discovery. Alex watched as Kai, growing stronger, began to explore the small clearing. He moved with a silent, fluid grace, his curiosity boundless. He would mimic Alex's movements, stacking stones the way Alex stacked firewood, or attempting to hum along with Alex's quiet whistling. There was a profound sentience in Kai's actions. He wasn't just an animal, he was a person. He would communicate through a series of soft coos, gestures, and expressive looks that Alex began to understand. They shared moments of play, of quiet companionship, and of mutual wonder. In this forgotten valley, two different worlds had collided and found common ground. But Alex knew this couldn't last. Kai belonged to the wild. He needed his own kind. Alex spent his days searching for any sign of other Bigfoot tracks, markings, anything. He felt a deep conflict. Part of him wanted to take Kai back to civilization, to prove his existence to the world. But he knew what that would mean. A life in a cage, a scientific curiosity, a spectacle. But he couldn't do that to the creature he had come to care for so deeply. One evening, sitting by the fire, Alex felt a presence, not threatening, but watchful. He looked up to see two massive silhouettes standing at the edge of the clearing. They were enormous, towering figures, their features obscured by the shadows. His heart leaped into his throat, but he saw Kai's reaction. The infant let out an excited chirp and wobbled towards them. His parents, they hadn't abandoned him. They had been searching for him. Perhaps they were driven off by a predator, or perhaps Kai had simply wandered too far. The larger of the two, likely the father, took a step forward. Its presence was immense, powerful, yet radiated no malice. It simply looked at Alex, and in its deep, wise eyes, Alex saw not a monster, but a parent, filled with gratitude and relief. The mother figure gently scooped up Kai, holding him close. The family was reunited. The larger Bigfoot then turned its head, gave Alex a slow, deliberate, nudder-clear gesture of thanks, and then, as silently as they arrived, they melted back into the forest and were gone. Alex stood there for a long time, the clearing feeling emptier than ever before. He was alone again, but he was not the same man who had entered the valley. He had been a part of a miracle. He had looked into the eyes of a myth and found a soul. He never told anyone his full story. Who would believe him? He had no proof, no photos, nothing but the memory of reddish-brown fur and a pair of enormous, knowing eyes. But proof didn't matter. What mattered was the experience itself, a reminder that the world is so much bigger, so much more mysterious and wonderful than we can possibly imagine. There are still secrets hidden in the deep woods, waiting for those who are willing to listen. Thanks so much for watching. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and ring the bell so you never miss another journey into the unknown. We'll see you in the next one.